Varasha, welcome back to Nationwide. Our next story tells of a world-famous, New York-born photographer and visual artist. His name is Richard Noble, and he has taken the photographs of some of the very big names in the music and the film industries. For the past 4 decades, he has called Donegal home, and in advance of an exhibition of his work later this month in Letterkenny, he invited Nationwide to his house just outside Ramelton. Richard,
Hi.
hello. How are you? It's lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
My goodness, what a house!
Thank you.
And
Thank
what
you.
a view!
Yes, yeah, it's magic, isn't it?
Where are we?
Well, this is Lough Swilly in County Donegal. It's outside Letterkenny, near to Ramelton.
Yeah.
And it's just this wonderful view that always changes. I never get tired of it. It's fantastic. The light is great, and the peace and the quiet and the air. And
Yeah, the air is so fresh. You certainly landed in a nice spot. I'm dying to hear the story about the house and how you came here and all about your photography. So will you bring me inside and let me have a look around?
Sure, go on.
Love to. Oh, I thought we were going out to the garden.
Yep.
This is a conservatory.
Plan B for the
If the sun
barbecues.
doesn't shine.
Yes, the weather.
This is just beautiful, Richard. How
Thank
did
you.
you end up here?
Well, it was a very serendipitous moment. It was, I visited a friend of mine who owned Glenveigh Castle, Henry McElhenney. And I was living in New York at the time, and I was a photographer and just working in the concrete jungle and noise and whatever. And he invited me to stay at the castle, and I couldn't believe it when we drove up to Glenveigh. Incredible, it was Fantasyland. And we were having dinner that night, and his butler, Patrick, said to me, the best deal to come along in the last 15 years is for sale. Would you like to see it? And I was glazed over with some German white wine, and I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, there's a house for sale. Would you like to be our neighbor? And I looked around the dining room of Glenveigh, and I thought, I like Ireland. Ireland's nice.
It's a special type of Ireland.
Yeah, right. So the next morning, an auctioneer came, picked me up, and drove me through Lough Salt, which is a beautiful location up here, and just through the beautiful countryside, and then took me to here. And
Was it love at first sight?
hey, you got it. I mean, I fell. I just fell, and I knew it. It was a sort of almost a cramp in my heart, you know, because it was like I knew it won me. That was it.
A bit far though for a little bolt hole for the weekend, wasn't it? From was it New York you were living at the time?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it was completely stupid, you know. I wasn't thinking. It's almost like when you fall in love with a person. Sometimes, you know, people say, don't fall in love with that person, they're not good for you. You fall in love anyway. But I just loved it. And I said, it's the view, it's the peace, it's the quiet, it's the people, everything. I knew it was right. Well, this is my evening room. This is my sitting room. I like to spend time here. I light the fire and just listen to music and relax. I love this color green. I got the fireplace. This is Connemara marble, and I got this from the Kildare Street Club. They had decided they wanted to change it, so they got rid of this.
Beautiful.
And luckily I was there to buy it. So it's beautiful. And so I decided to take the colors of the Connemara and just repeat it all through the room here.
There's a very masculine feel to this room, isn't there?
Yeah, well, this is my side of the room. I have a girly side of the house too, so, you know, white wine and champagne, and the ladies could go there and talk about the men, that sort of thing.
Oh, Richard, I love it. I just love the kitchen. Look
Thank
at all
you.
your gorgeous crockery.
I think that's called Old Chelsea. You can't get it anymore, actually.
This is a working kitchen.
Oh yeah,
Do you like to cook?
I love to cook.
Do you?
Yeah. In fact, I was very lucky because years ago I bought that. That was a hotel cooker.
Okay.
And because in those days you only got little cookers. So I had to go to a hotel thing to get one that, you know, and then I could cook, you know, and make parties and things like that.
And what's this here?
That's one of the pictures that I'm doing for the exhibition that's coming at the end of May.
Is that a photograph?
Yes, it's a photograph, but it's a little manipulated. So I fooled around a little bit with it, just to give it a cartoon feeling. We all see wedding pictures. I just wanted something a little different. This one I'm calling, I give it 6 months. So,
You're not optimistic.
well, I know how it ended. I mean, this was shot 30 years ago, 25 years ago, and
Okay.
I know how it ended.
So there's history there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's nice, right there. Look here, look at the camera all the time.
I'd like you to take about 30 years off, please.
You got it. I'll do 35.
Okay, yeah. Richard, you've had a long and illustrious career as a photographer. How did it all begin?
It all began in Brooklyn. I was dating a girl in Brooklyn, my teenage sweetheart named Mary Cagney. Anyway, I found out that she was actually two-timing me for somebody else. I came to her house one summer night, unexpected, and I saw her leaving the house with another guy, and they were all dressed up and going out someplace. And Mary's eyes just popped out of her head when she saw me at the door, you know, and Jack and I sort of met, and it was all like two dogs circling each other, sniffing, you know, and all that. And by the end of the evening, he and I became very, very good friends. It was sort of a chemistry thing, you know, and so he happened to be a photographer. So he introduced me to the world of photography. And a photographer that he was working for named Art Kane, who was a top photographer, and I had never seen pictures like this or cameras like this, Nikons, that sort of thing. And I just fell in love with it. And I said, this is it. I want to be a photographer. And it was the golden age of advertising. And I was in New York City, and I was right near Madison Avenue, and Mad Men, I think they called it, that show. And I was right in that era in the 60s. And it was very exciting, and I loved it. And I've been doing it ever since. I just love taking pictures.
Richard, what a portfolio. Brooke Shields, Clint Eastwood and Cher. My
Yes.
goodness, you've photographed all of the Hollywood greats.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So what were these people like, Richard? What was Clint Eastwood like?
Clint is a gentleman. We had lunch on that day when we were shooting in Carson City, Nevada. They were filming this thing called Honky Tonk Man, and that's his son Kyle.
Oh, is it?
And he was in the picture as well, yeah. We worked together the whole day. I rode with him in the car. He was saying that the easy money shots are moving cars. He shoots a lot with people in moving cars because he said the scenery is always changing. You get a better money shot with the scenery changing and things like that.
Well, that's a beautiful setting there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. There are some fabulous photographs here as well. My goodness me.
Jane Seymour.
That is such an elaborate setting, isn't it?
And my whole studio was full of flowers. If you'd had hay fever, you would have died.
Are you excited about the exhibition next week in Letterkenny?
Yes, very much so. I've named it Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow because, again, stressing the timelessness of portraits and people and faces. And it covers pictures that I did 35 years ago up to pictures that I did last week. And some interesting Irish people that I did for a book called An Island People several years ago. There's about 56 pieces. Plus, there's some sculptures that I've been doing now. I've designed some sculptures that incorporate photography.
These look like medieval paintings.
Yes, these are local people. This is my theory about yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I feel that people are timeless. And even though these people are contemporary, and these were shot within the last 2 years or so, you know, they could have been 500 years ago or more.
Is that Saoirse Ronan?
That's Saoirse Ronan, yes.
And Liam Cunningham from Game of
Liam
Thrones.
Cunningham and Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. My goodness me, it's a who's who. It really is.
And Bruce Jenner, and there's Cher.
It's,
And Graham Norton over here, and Brian Friel on the end there.
yeah.
So,
Wow. They are really very beautiful. They are works of art.
thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do you still get the same thrill out of photography as you did back in the day?
Oh, sure. Well, it's always new. everything, and the challenge is there if you can capture something. You know, I mean, the challenge sometimes, I'll photograph someone and the first thing they say is, I hate having my picture taken. And that becomes a challenge, you know. And they'll say, well, I take awful pictures, you know, and they wind up making faces during the whole shoot. They're like, and I say, of course you're taking terrible pictures. Look what you're doing, you know. And then I try and trick them into relaxing, and, you know, and it's basically learning how to trick people to get the expression you want.
Hiya.
That's Max.
Mac, how many cats have you got?
Just the one.
Oh, just the one.
One at a time. Otherwise you can't tell which one did the bad thing. You know? I love watching the nature. In fact, this year I'm just letting the field go wild. And I'm hoping that I'll have a collection of all kinds of birds and butterflies and insects and everything. So I'm going to try and do a sanctuary type thing, you know.
So a sanctuary for you and a sanctuary for wildlife.
We'll all work together, yes. We'll all sit here and relax. No, it's a paradise. It really is. I'm very, very lucky that it was, the timing, you know, was there. It was just meant to be, I guess. As my grandmother used to say, it's the forces of destiny, you know.
An exhibition of Richard's work will open in the Regional Cultural Centre in Letterkenny on next Friday, that's the 31st of May, and it will run until the 22nd of June, and we wish him the very best of luck with it. And with that we come to the end of this evening's programme. Sin deire leis an leor, tá súla gon gur bhain sibh taitneamh as, go dtí an céad uair eile mar sin, Ió Agaibh.